Okay, now the next position, I'm going to show you something, inshallah, you can keep in mind. The whole intent is to learn. So now we have the Sajdah, which means prostration. Okay? So we have Sajdah, we have Sin, Jeen, Dal. Right? Sin, Jeen, Dal. This is the root word. Sajdah. If I add a M, what word do I come out of that?
Masjid.
Masjid. So the Sajdah is your prostration. The masjid is a place of prostration. So we say I'm going to the masjid. The masjid is a place of prostration. It has the root word Sajdah in it. Okay, just show you a little something, just little trick. Okay, so remember that Sajdah, masjid. Masjid is a place of prostration. Okay, so now we're going into the Sajdah position, which is the prostration. How do we go into the Sajdah position from the Qiyam after the Ruku? Sajdah prostration. Next, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say takbir, Allahu Akbar, and go down into the Sajdah. He ordered the one who prayed badly to do so, saying to him, no one's prayer is complete unless he says Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and stands up straight, then says Allah is Akbar, then says Allahu Akbar, then prostrates such that his joints are at rest. So now we're going into the Sajdah. Let me just read this. This is narrated by Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Also, when he wanted to perform Sajdah, he would say takbir, separate his hands from his side, and then perform Sajdah. This is narrated in the Musnad of Abu-Ya'la and the Isnad of Ibn Khuzaymah with a Sahih Isnad. Again, there's other books other than the Sahih Sittah that are Sahih as well. The Sajdah, going down into the Sajdah on the hands. Also, it says that when he went into the Sajdah, sometimes he would raise his hands while performing the Sajdah. So when you come up, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and going into the Sajdah, it said he would raise his hands and going into the Sajdah. I'll read the hadith. The Sahih Darqutni with the two Sahih Isnads, the raising of the hands has been reported from 10 companions. Raising the hands while going into the Sajdah. Okay? And a number of the Salaf viewed it as correct. Among them was Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, Hassan al-Basri, Tawus, the son of Abdullah, Nafi, the free slave of Ibn Umar, Salam, the son of Ibn Umar, and the list goes on, that this is a sunnah to raise the hands in going into the Sajdah. Okay? So, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, going into the Sajdah, I raise my hands. So, raise the hands. Okay? And this is reported by what? 10 Sahabas. Right? And I named a few. Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas. That should be enough. That should be enough. Okay? Ibn Abbas, who was the one who was the Prophet Muhammad made dua that he gave him tawfiq with deen, he gave him understanding of the deen and tafsir of the Quran.
Okay, so when it comes to something like that, and you read another hadith that states something different, which one do you take?
The affirmative.
Because I heard one inside Bukhari that said he didn't do that. Like several ones that said he didn't.
That's because maybe they didn't see it. But we have Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, those who were close to him, because maybe some of the Sahabas they didn't see all his actions. Now some Sahabas they were with him particular times, but some were with him all the time. So maybe they didn't see him.
Even the ones that said that this person's not a liar, that
they might have not seen it though. Like some of the Sahabas went to Kufa, some of the Sahabas went to Syria, so a lot of them took their hadiths with them. You know, some of the Sahaba, to be a Sahaba means that you were in the presence of the Prophet Muhammad at least one time. That makes you a Sahaba. So they might have a hadith from this brother. He might have something that none of the other Sahabas heard. you know. But if we have that there's 10 sahabas, if we go into the affirmative, as it'll state right here in a minute, in the affirmative, every time you do an affirmative, you get 10 blessings. To negate it, you miss out the blessings. So we go with the affirmative, something that he did. But there's no sin. If you know there's another hadith that said he didn't do it, but if you know that he did do it, why leave it out? You get 10 more. Imam Ahmad was after Imam Malik, he was after Shafi'i, and he was later. But because he had all these other scholars, Imam Malik, Shafi'i, because he was a student of Shafi'i. They were students from Malik. So all of them learned, but because Imam Ahmad, he had more, he was more privy to the hadiths. He had more access to the hadiths. There was more compilation of the hadiths. Imam Malik was just the Imam of the Hijaz. Imam Hanifa, he was in Kufa. He lived in Iraq. Okay? Now, when Shafi'i and so forth, they came after these two Imams. For instance, they say that the weakest of the weak. I'm just saying, don't get mad at me. The weakest of the four madhabs is the Hanafi. That's the weakest. Because Abu Hanifa didn't have privy to a lot of the hadiths because he was in Kufa, which is Iraq. So he had certain sahabas that were there. But Imam Malik, who was living in Medina, so he was there with the people, his grandpa was a sahaba. So then he had direct the land of Medina, the practices of Medina were the practices of the Prophet Muhammad. So he had more privy to certain hadiths rather than Abu Hanifa. Imam Shafi'i, who came later, he had more privy to more hadiths. Then Imam Ahmad, he had more privy to hadiths. Now there's compilations. Okay? So Imam Ahmad, based on his privy to more hadiths, this is probably the most strongest of the four madhabs. Without the da'if hadiths, without the fabricated hadiths, strictly authentic hadiths, Imam Ahmad. Allahu Akbar. But we don't stick to a particular madhab. When we find authentic hadith, that's what we roll with. Okay? Even if Imam Ahmad made a mistake, we go with the authentic hadith. Okay? So to go into the sajdah, again, this was narrated by 10 of the Sahabas. And also, this was endorsed by Imam Malik, because this is also narrated in his Muwatta. So he used to place his, so sometimes he would raise his hands while performing sajdah, going down into the sajdah on the hands. We're going to go down to our knees, on the hands. You see some that go down on the knees like a camel. We don't do that. And I'm going to read the hadiths. Go down on the hands. Okay? Now we're talking about going into the sajdah. So the first thing is, Allahu Akbar, I raise my hands, and I'm going into the sajdah, which is the prostration. You see some people that go down with the knees first, and then the hands. That's incorrect. The proper way is to go down with the hands first, then the knees. And I'll read the hadith. He used to place his hands on the ground before the knees. It says, in the hadith which contradict this are incorrect. There are hadiths that contradict this, but he said that they are da'if and they're incorrect. This has been endorsed by Imam Malik to go down with the hands first. And similar is the report of Imam Ahmad. So even the Maliks and the Hanbalis, they endorsed it based on the hadith to go with the hands down first. Also Al-Marwazi noted with the Sahih Isnad, Imam Al-Awza'i in his Musail as saying, I found the people placing their hands before their knees. So he said, I saw the people in the vicinity, the Sahabas, the companions, they were placing their hands before their knees. He used to instruct likewise, saying, when one of you performs sajdah, he should not kneel like a camel, but should place his hands before his knees. This is narrated by Abu Dawood, Tamam in Al-Fawaid, And the Sahih of Nasa'i, with the Sahih Isnad. It has a sounder Isnad than the previous one, the Hadith, which the other way round says that the knees go before the hands. In fact, the later Hadith, as well as being contradictory to the Sahih Hadith and the preceding one, is neither authentic in Isnad or in meaning. So the Hadiths that say the knees before the hands, these are inauthentic Hadiths. But the Isnad of the hands before the knees are the most authentic. It should be known that the way to differ from the camel is to place the hands before the knees, because the camel places his knees first. A camel's knees are in his forelegs as defined in the Lisan al-Arabi and other books in the Arabic language, and as mentioned in Tahawi. Also, Abu Hurairah's statement. Abu Hurairah, we know Abu Hurairah, most of the hadiths are quoted by Abu Hurairah. What was so specific about Abu Hurairah was that he stayed with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, stayed in the masjid with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why Umar was so mad at him, because he was quoting so many hadith. And he said, why do you quote so many hadith? He said, well, while y'all was out in the marketplace getting money, I was with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam getting deen. So Abu Hurairah's statement, so this is the statement of Abu Hurairah. He said, no one should kneel the way a runaway camel does. And then he added, this is the Sajdah. He is verifying that one should not throw himself down as a runaway or untamed camel does, hurriedly, without calmness, but he should go down calmly, placing his hands first, then followed by his knees. And the explanation is the Marfu Hadith. And this was mentioned in the Hadith above. But this is also the statement of Abu Hurairah to put the hands first. He also used to say, verily the hands prostrate as the face prostrates. So when one of you places his face on the ground, he should place his hands, and when he raises, he should raise them. So your hands prostrate as well. This is what the raising. Okay? So when you go down on your hands first. The Sajdah described. So how do we do it? How do we put our hands? So forth and so on. He would support himself on his palms and spread them, put his fingers together, and point them towards the Qibla. So he would put his palms out, and his fingers would be together. And another hadith, what I'm going to get to, it said that they would be parallel to his ears. Fingers together, right? Facing Qibla. Facing Qibla. Okay? Elbows out. Nose and forehead touching ground. And I'm going to, inshallah, read the hadith. Inshallah. I just went ahead since I was down there. Also, he would put his palms level to his shoulders. This narrated by Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi. And sometimes he would level them with his ears. So your shoulders or your ears, when you put your hands, they should be level with the shoulders or the ears. He would put his nose and forehead firmly on the ground. Narrated by Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. He said to the one who prayed badly, when you prostrate, then be firm in your prostration. Be firm in it. Don't play with it. Don't go down and come back up real quick. Be firm in it. Hold it down. Inshallah. Also, he would put his palms level with the shoulder and firmly on the ground. He said to the one who prayed badly, when you prostrate, then be firm in your prostration. In another narration, he said, when you prostrate, put your face and hands down firmly until all of your bones are relaxed in the proper places. So again, go into this position, hold it, and stay in this position for a while. Again, this is narrated by Ibn Khuzaymah. The Prophet ﷺ said, there is no prayer. It's the hadith. There is no prayer for the one whose nose does not feel as much of the ground as the forehead. There is no prayer for the one whose nose does not feel as much of the ground as the forehead. So nose and forehead must touch the ground. Touching the ground, this is mandatory. Or no salah. This is mandatory that you put your nose down on the ground. Fard means mandatory. Fard means wajib. This is an intricate part of the salah, to put the nose down on the ground with the forehead. Okay, don't be, I'm gonna put my nose in. Put your nose on the ground. Again, remember, this is the most humblest position, and you're showing that Allah, He's the A'ala, He's the most high. Okay? He used to put his knees and toes down firmly, point with the front of the toes towards the Qibla. Point with the front of the toes toward the Qibla, put his heels together, keep his feet upright and ordered likewise. So this is Bayhaqi with the Sahih Bukhari, Abu Dawood. Umar said that he liked to point whatever of his body he could towards the Qibla when praying, even his thumbs. So all of these are the Sahih Hadith. So again, one after another, so y'all can see me. So the first thing, Allahu Akbar, hands first, hands facing the Qibla, your hands equal to your ears or your shoulder, the elbows out. You are on the top of your toes. Look at my toes. I'm on my toes, and the toes are facing the Qibla. Does everybody see? The toes are facing the, and my heels are together. Low place like home, just like Dorothy. Put your heels together. Right? You don't do like this. I see some people, they do their heels up here. Put your heels down on the ground. Right? With your toes facing the Qibla, your heels together firmly. Your nose and your forehead down firmly. Your hands firmly. Your elbows out firmly. Okay? That is the proper way to do sajdah. You must understand that your salat is being graded. The Prophet Muhammad said there are some who make a salat, they only get 50% of the salat, 60% of the salat. So you can get a D on your salat. Every time you do a salat, you're getting graded. Every time you stand there, you're getting graded by Allah as to your obedience and your how much you are you're following the instructions. Follow the instructions, okay? But if you're doing all this, you know, now you're not in kasha'ah. You're not being in tune with your salat. So you can do a salat and get an F on it. You can get an F on it. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, hence there are 7 limbs on which he, Rasulullah ﷺ, would prostrate on: the palms, which are the hands, the knees, the feet, and the forehead and the nose, counting the last 2 as one limb of prostration. So we got 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay? He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, I have been ordered to prostrate. In another narration, he said, we have been ordered to prostrate on the 7 bones. 2, 4, 6, 7. And he indicated by moving his hand around his nose, the hands of one version, the palms, the knees, and the toes, and not to tuck up the garment or the hair. This movement of the hand was deduced with the grammar of the Arabic. Okay. But again, the 7 bones, they must be down, as the sister said. So if you don't have the 7 bones down, you have no sajdah. So 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay? He would not rest his forearms on the ground. So when you make the So the sajda, you don't put your forearms on the ground like a dog. You don't put this part on the ground. Your elbow should be up. This part should not touch the ground. You know how dogs, they lay on the ground with their hand? So the Prophet said, do not do sajda like a dog. So you don't do your hands like this. This is not a proper sajda, but your hands, your elbows are up. He would not rest his forearms on the ground, but would raise them above the ground and keep them away from his sides, so much that the whiteness of his armpits could be seen from behind. So he had his arms open so much that the people behind could see his armpits. He used to order likewise, saying that when you perform sajda, place your palms on the ground and raise your elbows and be level in sajda, and none of you should spread his forearms like the spreading of a dog, like the dog spreads them. In another narration or hadith, none of you should rest your arms on the ground like the way the dog rests them. He also used to say, do not spread your arms the way that the beasts of prey do. Rest your palms and keep your upper arms apart. For when you do all that, every one of your limbs prostrate with you. Every one of your limbs prostrate with you. The obligation to be at ease in sajda, he, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, used to command the completion of ruku and sajda, comparing someone not doing so to the hungry man who eats 1 or 2 dates, in which he will find he's like a thief. He also ruled that the prayer of one who does not straighten his spine fully in ruku and sajda, that it is invalid. So if you don't straighten your back in the ruku, if you don't straighten your position in the sajda, that your prayer is not valid.
What if you think you got it straight?
The main thing is being at ease. The main thing is being at ease. You know, what is a straight back? Do I got scoliosis? I don't know what. But the thing is being at ease, not pecking like the hen. You know, making sure that you get into that position and you hold it, and to enough that you say what we're going to say next, inshallah. Because if you say it first, you get in the position, make sure you're in the position right. Then you start saying Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Then you'll be in there for a minute. You'll be in that position for a minute. But you ain't even got into your position yet, or got all of your ligaments locked, and you start doing Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, you're moving too fast. Get into your position first, and then say what you need to say. Inshallah.